Howdy. Welcome to Cryptid Caravans. We're hauling in new monsters all the time. You kind of caught me at a bad time today. Got a Chupacabra trying to get at my livestock. Gotta keep an eye out for that goat sucker. Ah, hell.
Chupacabras are usually sighted in Mexico, southern Texas, or even Puerto Rico.
I have no idea what they're doing up this far north. And the Chupacabra doesn't have an agreed upon description.
Some describe it as a leathery green monkey-like reptile with a row of spikes or set of wings down its back. But the common description is of a scrawny coyote-like dog with no fur and a pronounced spine. It has a pair of long fangs to suck its victim's blood.
And they have a sulfuric smell. Smells like my Uncle Flacco. Chupacabra is actually pretty young cryptid. Its first attacks only being reported in 1995.
In March of 95, there were attacks on 8 sheeps, and in the following months, over 150 animals were killed all across the Puerto Rican island. The animals were all found with puncture wounds, but no meat had been gnawed off.
Madeline Tolentino is the first person to see the beast and offer a description of it. I'm trying to tell a story here, you carpetbaggers.
She described a reptilian Chupacabra. Puerto Rican police attributed these attacks to foxes until it got so out of hand, Mayor Soto set up a weekly hunts for the next year to find the creature. In the town of Canavanas, 30 people saw a Chupacabra sweep down from the sky. A homeowner in Cagus found a Chupacabra in their house, tearing up their child's teddy bear. The beast fled, leaving a hunk of rancid meat hanging in a window.
By the end of 95, the Chupacabra had been blamed for over 1,000 farm animal deaths. And after that, it seemed the monster jumped across the Caribbean Sea and onto the mainland. Aren't we just so lucky?
Dead animals would turn up in Mexico and other Latin American countries, usually sheep, chickens,
and of course, goats.
These Chupacabras were described as the more common depiction. A hairless coyote, when in 2000, a Nicaraguan rancher shot an animal that was assaulting his goats. He found the carcass on his ranch later that week, marking the first official body of the goat sucker.
And it weren't long that they were crossing the border into America. Hey, get my leg out of your mouth!
Videos and photos of the Chupacabras in Texas have been making their rounds. One of Texas's most prolific supporters of Chupacabras is Dr. Phyllis Canyon. In June of 2007, she returned home after an African safari, only to find something stranger than any African critter killing her chickens.
And contrary to the natural Texas instinct, she didn't just immediately blow them away. These polecats ain't so lucky.
Instead, she set up a series of trail cams, hoping to catch its portrait to little avail. Then the following month, a neighbor called to let Canyon know one of the creatures had been hit by a car.
It wasn't the automobiles that got him. It was beauty killed the beast. Quiet, you!
She took the body home and had it stuffed, mounted, and samples taken for testing. Her Chupacabra carcass is found fame, being featured on the History Channel, Animal Planet, Discovery, and Nat Geo.
And sightings are still prolific since then. One notable case was in 2014. A Houston man spotted a Chupacabra in his backyard. But the Chupacabra may even go farther north than that.
A golfer grabbed pictures of a strange, scrawny dog trancing around the course and took to Twitter,
as you do,
to ask for identification.
Along with all these sightings, the Chupacabra has made its way onto the small screen and the silver screen. Yes, and the web screen.
As mentioned earlier, they've been featured on several channels and shows like Monster Quest, Fact or Faked, Lost Tapes, Grimm, Jackie Chan Adventures,
and you can't forget the Legend of El Chupanibre.
And the Chupacabra can be hunted in Red Dead Redemption. In the world of film, El Chupacabra was featured as a baddie in Scooby-Doo and the Monster in Mexico, El Chupacabra vs. the Alamo, and Chupacabra Terror.
And there's another film Another film that could be considered a Chupacabra movie.
Remember Madeline Tolentino, the Puerto Rican lady who first described the reptilian Chupacabra in 1995? Well, it just so happens about a month before she filed that report, a new sci-fi movie hit the Puerto Rican theaters. An alien thriller that featured a weird reptilian creature, and Tolentino admits to seeing the film.
So the Puerto Rican Chupacabra is probably nothing more than a hoax compounded by media hype. But what about the mainland Chupacabras? Like these goat suckers.
There are plenty of theories abound regarding where these coyote-like beasts are from. Some mention an ancient Mayan legend of Camazotos, which is often identified with terms such as goat sucker, but most look towards science for an explanation.
And most scientists agree they're just a bunch of mangy dogs.
Mostly coyotes that have contracted mange, which leaves them hairless with blotchy skin. Mange is a highly infectious disease, so it's possible coyotes in a small area could contract the disease in bulk. And like the Chupacabra, coyotes attack smaller livestock like sheep, goats, and chickens, avoiding larger beasts such as cows. DNA testing even proved Phyllis Canyon's Chupacabra was a coyote with severe mange. But there's other scientific theories.
Scientific theory.
An ideal poised is that Chupacabras are actually the result of breeders inbreeding canines and letting them loose, or simply the result of a coyote-dog hybrid, or that it was created as a genetic experiment, crossing coyote and crocodile DNA.
Okay, but coyotes aren't bloodsuckers. No, they ain't. So how do we explain that aspect of the legend?
When the dead livestock were dissected, doctors found they still had plenty of blood in them to spare. And the bite marks on the neck?
Coyotes usually go for the neck when making a kill. Hey, get away from Moonshine's neck. But coyotes, they like to kill for food. So I can't explain why the corpses didn't have any other signs of gnawing on them. I'd feel confident in saying that the Chupacabra is a real cryptid. Or at least the closest we're gonna get. While the legend has been over-exaggerated, there really are mangy coyotes out there killing livestock. And the sightings of these Chupacabras will continue to come in all across the land. Heck, I'd even mention the Canucks version of the goat sucker. But I'll let you decide for yourself. I just give you the history. Alright. I'm out of ammo. Well, alright. Come here, you clan jumpers.
This was a terrible idea.